right, so let's get into this because Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is facing serious backlash once again after signing an executive order designed to drag the Cook County State's attorney into investigating ICE agents, all in the obvious attempt to criminalize federal law enforcement and score points with the Democrat Party. But his plan isn't working the way he wants to, ladies and gentlemen. The Cook County State's attorney isn't playing along, and neither are some leaders in Chicago. Multiple officials are openly questioning Johnson's judgment, warning about misplaced priorities, and just the sheer stupidity of picking a fight with the federal government. And so even for a mayor sitting at a 3% approval rating, he's learning the hard way that yes, you can still sink lower. As always, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. That's the very best way. Let me know you like the video. Subscribe to stay locked in with more content. Let's get into it.
Rob, the mayor says he's not trying to tell the state's attorney's office what to do with any investigations that police might conduct. Right now, Eileen O'Neill Burke says her office is reviewing the legality of the executive order, but a former top prosecutor says that order itself is completely unnecessary. Operation Midway Blitz put a spotlight on immigration enforcement tactics that have come under fire as too aggressive and at times possibly illegal. But questions continue to swirl about what, if anything, would change under Mayor Brandon Johnson's executive order that requires Chicago police to document and investigate misconduct by federal immigration agents.
If an ICE agent committed a crime, let's say shot somebody and it was an inappropriate shooting, Chicago police have absolute authority to investigate that. They have the authority to bring charges to the state's attorney's office for approval or rejection. So, this is all much ado about nothing.
Mayor Johnson today defending the executive order. He referenced the case involving Miramar Martinez, who was shot 5 times by Border Patrol agents last fall and now wants the evidence released publicly to clear her name. The mayor today would not call for police to investigate that case or any other.
What we are looking to do is to continue to work with all stakeholders so that we can meet the expectations of the people of Chicago who are justifiably demanding accountability for what they view as reckless and lawless actions by the Trump administration in our city.
What the mayor said he was not trying to do was to tell the Cook County State's attorney what to do.
And like any other case, the state's attorney has their jurisdiction to decide if they're going to move forward with prosecution. But that's the autonomy that the state's attorney has.
One leading alderman raising concerns about the mayor's underlying motive behind the executive order.
The politics of this volatile situation have cast a shadow over every decision that we're all making right now. It's impossible to ignore that, and I do think the mayor made his announcement and crafted that executive order for largely political reasons.
So what we're really watching right now is a dog and pony show from Brandon Johnson, because here's the part that they're leaving out. Yes, in theory, local or state officials can try to prosecute federal agents for violating state laws. Okay. But in reality, that almost never goes anywhere because of federal supremacy and immunity protections. And so while federal agents, they don't have absolute immunity, but if they're acting within the scope of their duties, and most of the time they are, those cases get removed to federal court or just dismissed. That's how it works, which means the bar the state has to clear is extremely high, and it's cleared very rarely. But Johnson knows this. He knows how rare it is. He knows that it isn't going to result in any prosecution, this executive order. But he'll sign it anyway, do the photo op, hold the press conference, shake hands and smile in front of the camera, win a few points with his base, all the while hoping it buys him time and that people forget he's running the city of Chicago into the ground. But it's not just his critics online saying this. A former Chicago Department chief of detectives, someone who actually understands how investigations in jurisdiction work, just called out Brandon Johnson's executive order for exactly what it looks like: political theater. Take a listen.
A former Chicago Police Department chief of detectives weighs in on Mayor Brandon Johnson's executive order directing CPD to investigate federal immigration agents for possible misconduct. A handshake between Border Patrol's Greg Bavino and a Chicago police sergeant during Operation Midway Blitz last fall. While Chicago's sanctuary city status does not allow police to help federal immigration agents with enforcement, the relationship between the two has remained somewhat cordial, despite some questionable tactics that have left some officers dealing with pepper spray.
We need to be working with the federal government. We cannot be at odds with the federal government. It serves no one's best interest.
While former CPD Chief of Detectives Eugene Roy strongly disagrees with tactics used by Greg Bavino and his Border Patrol agents, Roy does not believe officers should investigate federal agents during ongoing federal immigration operations.
The Chicago Police Department should not be put in a position where they are investigating federal agents who are investigating federal crimes, which is clearly a federal jurisdiction. It serves no useful purpose.
Roy calls Mayor Brandon Johnson's executive order directing police to investigate federal agents for possible misconduct nothing more than political theater. But Johnson says the agents must be held accountable.
It will give a directive from my office to ensure that we're collecting evidence, that we're providing medical care on scenes, but also making sure that that evidence is turned over for prosecution.
The mayor's decree, called the ICE on Notice order, says any felony charges against agents recommended by police must go through his office. In a written statement released today, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office writes in part, quote, "Because this order changes the process for how felony charges are evaluated, a thorough analysis is being conducted to assess its legality," end quote. In all felony cases, it is the state's attorney's office that evaluates the evidence and makes the charging decision. And legal experts say local police already have the ability to collect evidence.
Now, this executive order is not necessary to authorize local police officials to investigate state crimes, even if those state crimes are committed by federal agents.
While the mayor warns of a possible immigration enforcement surge this spring, Johnson says his executive order does apply to past cases during Operation Midway Blitz last fall.
So in reality, Brandon Johnson signed an executive order that doesn't actually change anything, because state and local law enforcement already had the authority to do what he's claiming to push for. The difference being they understand the limits. They understand that going after federal agents is usually a dead end, unless you're talking about an obvious overt criminal act. And that's rare. Most of what Johnson is upset about isn't misconduct at all. It's just federal agents doing their job. Now, you may not like where they're doing it. You may not like how it looks politically in your city, but enforcing federal law is still enforcing federal law. Somebody should tell Brandon Johnson that. And that's why this move rings hollow. So when Johnson talks about dedicating time and resources to targeting ICE agents, critics are asking a very simple question. Why are you focused on this when Chicago has far bigger problems to deal with? Here's Johnson being questioned directly on that point. Take a listen.
There have been 140 plus shootings in Chicago since the first of the year. There have been 40 plus people murdered in Chicago since the first of the year. What would you say to the people, the families of the victims of these shootings and murders? They want to know why you're focused on federal agents who are trying to clean up their neighborhoods and make their neighborhoods safe, their streets safe. Why are you worried about, so myopically focused on the shooting death of a citizen in Minnesota, when you don't seem to care at all about the shootings and the murders of real Chicago people?
Yeah, well, look, I'm multitasking. That's what the people of Chicago want me to do. We can do both at the same time, right? And as I said before, of course, we would prefer.
Please don't interrupt. Please don't interrupt. Thank you.
You feel that you're focusing on
William. William, we got it.
All right. Thank you. So again, as I said before, I'm multitasking as the mayor of the city of Chicago, and we can do both at the same time. Ensuring that our police department has all of the tools that it needs in order to be effective at driving violence down, while also making sure that our residents are not being brutalized by the Trump administration. In fact, as you heard in my opening remarks, starting off this year, shootings are down, homicides are down, shooting victims are down. Of course, there's more work to be done. And yes, we would much rather focus on the local challenges of building safe and affordable communities. But at a time in which this administration is determined to create terror and havoc across this country, we are now placed in a position where we have to do both and. And as the leader of this city, of this amazing city, the people of this city expect me to keep them safe, whether it's from violence that comes from within or violent attacks that come from outside of the city of Chicago.
I would argue this is a poor use of a mayor's time. Weighing in, holding protests, worried about what they're doing in Minnesota as the mayor of Chicago when you already have a laundry list of things that you need to be worried about and get correct with your city. I'm just saying, if you're going to do all that, you would at least hope Brandon Johnson is running one of the most successful cities in the country and is actually quite the opposite. But that's my take. Now let me hear from you. Drop your comments down below. As always, smash that thumbs up. That's how I know you like the video. Subscribe to stay locked in with more content. And as always, until next time.